Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our next session with Purepoint Uranium. I'm Joe Fars, I'm Vice President of Investment Banking here at Red Cloud Securities, and I'm joined by Chris Frostad. He's President and CEO of Purepoint. Purepoint, the story, it's one of the more advanced projects and portfolio of projects that have 100% ownership in the Athabasca Basin. A number of high-profile neighbors with assets like PLS and Arrow. And he's already working with some senior partners like Cameco and Orano. So Chris, you'll have 12 minutes and then we'll have a few minutes of Q&A. I'll advise attendees, feel free to ask questions using our Q&A link. With that, Chris, please take it away.
Great, thanks, Joe. Good to have everybody here today. Yeah, as Joe mentioned, we've been in Saskatchewan for a while now. We are a uranium exploration company, as Joe mentioned. We've had projects in the basin. We have 12 projects in the basin, but up until now, we've really focused on Hook Lake, which is our project in the west. And the reason we focused on that one was because of our partners, Cameco and Orano, who have been supplying a great deal of financial support on that particular project as to where it is and their excitement about it. We have another 10 projects that we do own 100% on the other side of the basin along the mine trend there. And you know, in the last number of years, it just hasn't made sense. We thought to raise a lot of money and put it in the ground in uranium when the uranium markets were languishing. But in this last year, with the excitement we're seeing and with the price of uranium really starting to tick and make way, we have access to a lot more funds. We have access to more capital to get out there and do that kind of exploration that we've been waiting to do. So this last year, or this year in particular, we've been at 3 more of our projects doing drill programs, and it's been a busy year, and it's really part of gearing up for next year when we really see our activity out in the basin really taking off even more. A quick quick industry slide here. This is the only one I will thrust upon you, but just to let you know what we're all reacting to here. This is a change in prices since the beginning of 2018. And the red line you see there is the spot price of uranium. You can see it kind of laying along the 20% mark, not doing much there until COVID hit in early 2020, dipped down a bit, and now it's taken off again. But against that in yellow, and I know Sprott was talking today, or the Sprott Fund was talking today about their efforts in this market. That yellow line is Uranium Participation Group, which was taken over, management was taken over by Sprott in July. And you can see that how that spot price and the Sprott ETF have kind of aligned in terms of their movement. And they've really been tightening up that market and making a lot of things happen. You also see the blue line. The dotted blue line kind of takes off at the end. That's the long-term contract price, which hasn't moved an inch for many years now. And I think now that Sprott has uncovered the bottom of the spot market, if you will, we're going to start seeing utilities signing up contracts in earnest. The black line really is just a composite of all of the uranium companies you see on the right there, just to show kind of our index as to how things have been moving in the same regard. It's been a rough few years in this industry, but certainly over the last year, as all of this is coming together and we see the uranium prices move, everybody's seeing a lot of joy, and we're all kind of lining up in the same direction right now, and it looks like that's going to continue for a while. Our stock price has reacted the same way as everybody else's. You've probably seen a lot of graphs that look like this on the uranium side. We've got a fair number of shares outstanding, mainly because we're probably one of the few out there that hasn't suffered a stock consolidation in the last 10 years. So we're continuing to operate at that level. We've got a lot of money in the bank, and there's more to come. So we are looking forward to a very busy year coming up. These are our projects and where we're located around the basin. We've got, as I said, on the west, Hook Lake is our joint venture with Cameco and Orano. We own 21%. They split the remaining portion of that, and we are the operator. They've been happy to let us operate that project for the last 10, 12 years. They continue to put financial support behind it. I'd like to say, and we know that they have trouble finding budget for anything that doesn't have the opportunity or the potential to deliver 100 to 150 million pounds of uranium. So we know that they think it's there, and we're systematically working through that project. It's a very large project, and I'll show you a little bit more on that later. Just west of that is our Smart Lake project, which is another joint venture we have with Cameco. We've only had one drill program out there. It was about 8 years ago, and we hit uranium in the first drill hole, but shortly thereafter, Fission started to tap into their RRR project, and all of the money and focus and attention moved over to Hook. So we're anxious to get back out there with them as well. The projects you see on the east side of the basin, all in orange there, are all 100% owned by us. Most of them have had initial drilling done on them. We've done a significant amount of work in preparation of those projects. But over the last 5, 6, 7 years, we've done very little with them because other than care and maintenance, because we had spent adequate money to hold them in good standing, and the timing just didn't seem right. Fortunately, now with the way that the markets have been moving, we're back out there, and we were at our Red Willow project in the fall. Or spring, I should say. We were out drilling in two different target areas out there with very good success. We went up and drilled our first hole ever into Umferville, which we've held for quite some time, and again we've hit elevated radioactivity and uranium in that first drill hole. And right now, as we speak, we're drilling at our Henday project, which is down here in the center. It's again a project we've held for some time. We've done a fair amount of surface work and preparatory work, and this is the inaugural drill program that we're running right now. So for the first time, we'll really be seeing what is down there and what we've been holding on to. The remaining projects are in earlier stage. We either have geophysics planned on them or are working on those programs to set them up now. And we'll move them along. So, I mean, the real story here is that we have got a complete portfolio of projects. We're not reliant on one particular flagship project or one Hail Mary. We've got a variety of projects at a variety of stage. We're able to systematically continue to advance them. And every time we drill a hole, we can reprioritize what we're doing and make sure that our money is being spent on the most prospective next step. And so it affords us a lot of leeway, a lot of flexibility, and I think heightens our odds of making that discovery that we're all busy looking for right now. Again, this is kind of the schedule that we've been operating under in the last year. We do all of our drilling out at Hook Lake traditionally in the winter, beginning of the winter. We get our budgets from Cameco and Orano in November. So in the coming weeks, we'll get a better understanding of the work we'll be doing out there this year. So we do plan to be drilling again the early part of the year. As I mentioned, we did our drilling at Red Willow and at Umferville in the spring. We're drilling Henday right now. We hope to get back out to Red Willow in the winter as well, and pending what we see at Henday, we hope to be back out there. And then the fifth project here, Turner Lake, is a project that we didn't have a permit on to work this current year, but those permits are now in the hopper, and we're looking to get out there in the winter as well. The reason you see all this stacked up in the winter is mainly because that's the best time to operate in northern Saskatchewan. It's flat, it's lots of little lakes, it's lots of streams and rivers and things, and in the winter everything freezes up. So right now the drilling we're doing requires a helicopter, and so it's a little more expensive. So typically it's more efficient to do that work in the winter, and that's why things appear to be kind of piled up there. Hook Lake, again, is our flagship project. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on, we have a bunch of projects, but just to show you where this is, if you haven't seen it, we're looking at a trend, the Patterson corridor that runs up the center of the project. To the south of us, Fission's RRR is a little over 100 million pounds. North of that is NextGen Zero deposit at a little over 250 million pounds. We spent a fair amount of time in the early days working on our deposit right here at the at the claim line called Spitfire. As I mentioned, we're looking at, Cameco and Orano need to find larger deposits of 100 to 150 million pounds. Once we defined that up and saw that it was probably more in the range of 15 to 20 million pounds, we knew we wouldn't be able to add a zero to it right away, and so we continued moving to the north. So we still have a lot of work to do up here. We're moving up into these areas you see circled in orange. This winter we will probably be working on the west side here, on a conductive trend that has not been tested to date. So this is very new. The blue you see there, we feel has been the heat source that laid down all this mineralization, and so we're excited to get out to that project. So I'm gonna leave it there, Joe. If we've got any questions, or I can keep looking at a few more projects here. But
yeah, we have a question or two here from the audience. This one's interesting as it speaks to how the industry has been somewhat dormant over the last, call it, 5 years. Your plans and exploration, how easy, or are you able to secure more workers, more drills to ramp up on your campaign going forward?
It's an issue right now we're running into, for sure. There's a few things, and that's why we're being very careful on how we raise things like flow through that give us time limits around spending. The things that we're seeing, we saw this year, we saw a lot of our peers weren't able to get out in the field this year for a number of these reasons that we mentioned. We were fortunate that we had permits in hand on a number of these projects, and we have relationships with a number of the service providers and drill companies that they were able to kind of scramble around at the last minute and find us what we needed. And we're looking at that going forward. But it's something that we're all managing right now. A couple of things. One, the permitting process has gotten a little bit longer than it was historically. Our consultation with the northern communities is a little more sophisticated and a little more organized than it maybe was some time ago. So it's adding time to it. And yes, it's hard to find drills. It's hard to find drillers. It's hard to find helicopters, and then you got to find a geologist to hang off it. So all of those things are difficult, not just in the uranium field. We're seeing it in certainly right across the board, trying to find crews and things to work. So we have most of this stuff that we just talked about lined up for next year, but it is an ongoing conversation to make sure that and how you schedule these things. I mean, we've had to pick up, hasten up. We actually wound up having to go to Henday 2 weeks earlier than we thought we would, only because that's when the crew was available, and we would have lost them had we waited 2 weeks. So that kind of thing is ongoing.
Yeah, that's great, Chris. Appreciate the perspective there. Maybe one last question, really on prioritizing your targets. I assume that there's going to be a different view going into next year, and how you kind of prioritize your high priority targets to others. What sort of approach do you take in strategizing that?
Well, it's every hole we drill, we hope is the big one. So that is the priority. And as we look at these projects and we evaluate the data that's been collected on them and really digest all of that stuff, that's what it comes down to, is where do we really think the next one needs to go? And I think at Red Willow we did some work at the Osprey zone. We did some work to the south of there at the Geneva zone. We now understand a little bit better. If we only had one program, we'd probably go to Geneva instead of Osprey. But there's a whole area to the north of that we have to do. Again, it depends on what comes out of Henday. So we do prioritize. It's a bit more of a macro basis. I mean, we obviously are doing it hole by hole by hole. But we're always, our next drill program is always the one that we think has the most opportunity to make a discovery. Hook and Smart are a little different because we have partners on those that kind of govern our approach and our priorities. But on our 100% ones, it's not a difficult process, but it's one that's ongoing.
Right on. No, and I appreciate that. A lot of exciting targets in the stable, so I'm sure we'll see a lot more opportunity come forward into the back half of this year in 2022.
we've tested outside of Hook Lake. We've now tested, four different zones, and we've hit uranium 4 different times. So, I think it also speaks to the advancement of these projects. We didn't just stake them. It's not a new theory. It's stuff that we've been working on for quite some time, and it allows us to get out there and really kind of start well into the process and decide where we're going to go next.
Yeah, hitting uranium in every zone is a good thing for sure. Okay, well, I think that's all the time that we have, guys. Chris, appreciate your time here presenting Purepoint Uranium.